So there was an article going around that apparently Beyond Meat used a device called the electronic nose to extract juice from a real steak. The chemist basically can look at the molecular properties and then try to recreate them with fruits, plants, flowers, vegan ingredients, plant-based ingredients to recreate the taste of steak. And this was deeply concerning to a Facebook friend of mine I won't name for now. But anyway, they wrote on Facebook to Beyond Meat, I read an article stating that you used animal meat to formulate the taste of your products. Is this true? And a few days later, they got a reply. Hi, individual. Our apologies for the delay. We wanted to be able to give you an appropriate response from our CEO. And that CEO, by the way, is Ethan Brown. They said, Ethan asked us to pass along the following response, and this is the official corporate response here from Beyond Meat. First and foremost, I really appreciate the vigilance that your question represents. I truly understand and deeply appreciate where it is coming from because I struggle with this issue myself. Because I am intimately involved in the sensory evaluation of our products, I don't feel that it is credible for me to lead the team in our efforts to truly build meat from plants if I am unwilling to directly compare our products with the taste and texture of animal meat. If I refuse, I can't provide real and informed feedback on how close or far we are from our North Star, animal meat. So reluctantly, I do chew and taste animal meat from time to time during key sensory evaluations, though I don't consume it. And then this is the key here, in parentheses, I use a spit cup. For someone who routinely encourages people to make the question the distinctions we make between farmed animals and household pets, you can imagine I am not at ease with the process, but I haven't found a way around it. Hope that helps, and again, I genuinely understand where this concern is coming from, and I applaud you for it. So a little bit to unpack there.
Just a little bit.
And before we even get into the ethics of animal testing for flavor, I thought it was hilarious that Mr. Ethan Brown thought it was significant enough to mention that even though he chews the meat, that he does spit it up in a cup, as if that somehow makes it, okay now.
That's just where the conversation's gone. He wants to really separate himself from it and say well, he wants to separate it in that I don't consume it, I don't swallow it, but really he's bringing it to animal testing, right? So this is everything that we think about for animal testing, whether it's on a large scale. He's trying to validate and justify it based on hey, I want a quality product, and I want it to so my consumers can really feel good about knowing that we've done everything possible to make sure that the taste is really our North Star.
North Star, yeah. Do you think that this is going to rock the animal rights sphere the way that the Impossible Burger animal testing did?
Honestly, it should, though.
What's the difference,
should,
right?
It should be, or it will. Maybe not. It should. That's actually a very important distinction. I think people are going to get really up in arms about hey, I've chewed this, I've swallowed it, or I've spit it out. No, look, I've spit it out, and really distancing it.
And really, what's more superficial? Is it more superficial to pretend that you're exploiting animals for human safety concerns, or is it more superficial to perform, some kind of animal test to get the flavor just right? Which one of these is, more vain human pursuit?
This is a rhetorical question, but testing for taste, taste. We're talking about that we've been talking about for fashion, unnecessary. And so testing for taste to really just hone in on what those consumers want, it's just.
I'm kind of, I'm not ambivalent, but I'm kind of torn on the issue, and I can see an argument that, having really, really high quality products that really mock the taste of meat, while it might not be significant for those of us that have already made the leap, it really might help replace animal products for a lot of people that are that superficial.
I hear that, and I guess I want to bring us to what we're talking about here. So this is the vegan fail, and so the vegan fail is everything that distracts us from talking about the animals and the animal rights movement. It's about animals and their rights, and not about Beyond Meat and this guy spitting or swallowing, which, I mean, obviously we're talking about, but that's the fail, like, is that we're talking about this and we're not actually thinking about those animals.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not talking about that. We're
if the debate was if it's ethical or not to kill one individual to save the many, I could see good arguments made on both sides of those, and I might have a personal opinion about that, but I could respect both sides of the debate. But when I was reading the comments, and this post went wild. There was 141 comments on this post that my friend posted. And the really surprising thing to me was a few individuals really commented that spitting it out in the cup did in some ways reassure them about the integrity of Ethan Brown's veganism. So he obviously sat down and decided, I'm going to make a corporate squeaky clean statement to release to the world. And in that statement, it was a significant enough issue to him to mention that he has a spit cup. Which really to me spoke to the whole vegan purity thing, that it's all about me keeping this vegan bubble that I have pure from any pollution of animal products. And again, total vegan fail, because it's about the individual that you exploited. And if you wanted to make the ethical argument, it should have been, I sacrificed, one individual. I bought a product that was a portion of one individual to save the many. And I didn't see that really anywhere in the argument. I just saw this whole personal purity appeal.
Yep, and then that's prevalent too when we think about another CEO, which is John Mackey, the CEO of Whole Foods. He is actually credited, or Whole Foods in general is credited for bringing the most vegan products to such a large group of people who otherwise maybe wouldn't have had those or access to those choices. And what John Mackey also has done is created, I mean, it's a little bit different than the intention of Ethan Brown, but Mackey has created another problematic thing, which is the humane myth. Really saying that I personally, he's a vegan, and he is saying look, we're treating these animals with care. We have this whole rating system that it'd be interesting to pull up the different levels, because I forget them off the top of my head, but is
that a Whole Foods thing?
Yeah, Whole Foods welfare system. You have a rating system 1 through 5 about
welfare rating.
Yeah,
5-step. Here we go. This
is actually really interesting. So I don't know if you've seen this before, but this video is actually a pretty interesting one. I'll read out the steps first. Step 1, no cages, no crates, no crowding. Step 2, enriched environment. Step 3, enhanced outdoor access. Step 4, pasture-centered. So they actually progress in colors. So now we're in the green. This is the feel-good area. So step 4 was the pasture-centered. Step 5, animal-centered. No physical alterations. I don't know what kind of alterations that they're making. And then step 5 plus, this is beyond, is animal-centered, entire life on the same farm. So they're not being carted around.
What is animal? I mean, to me, animal-centered means you wouldn't freaking exploit animals. If it's animal-centered, you're not exploiting animals anymore. So how do you even get to step 5?
And there's a red. There's a red rating on the bottom.
All these criteria, if I'm reading this correctly, don't have to be met. They start selling things at step 1, and then you get to pick and choose how ethical you want to be on a given day, right?
Yes.
Today I'm feeling generous. I think I'll splurge on a step 4, but the economy's getting rough, honey. Let's step it back to step 1 for now. Wow.
And you can see this labeling really easy from their when you go to the counter where they sell these animal products, so the meat counter, you see the colors, and it's just nice. It's a little nice graphic, very pick your purity, or pick your
purity level.
So
oh my gosh,
this video
you want to watch the video?
Bob could see.
So what's this meat rating system about?
Let me put it this way. Step 1 is Step 5 is
Sold. Step 5. Let's get a New York strip and definitely a filet.
Yeah, well, step 5 definitely is. This is a 15-second video, and it is kind of blowing my mind that they think that's wow.
That's what they can do with
That's
their
so
advertising. That's how
disturbing.
they describe what we
Could you
just
imagine? Could you
described.
imagine any other like ethical debate that we're having where you could pick it in five? Like
Just
how good do you want to treat your kids today? Should we go with step one, like not giving them black eyes, or should we step it up to step five, where we actually make sure they had healthy meals and wholesome education
You
that
pick
day?
any oppressed group, and then you just give a metered rating system, and you just put fun colors. Red. Oh no, we don't do that. We should stop that. But like green. Okay, we're in the clear. We can go. We can green light this thing. And so like.
We should come up with a 5-step vegan fail rating, so we can start ranking different companies by like 1 to 5.
So I mean, like, if we want to like actually bring it back to Ethan Brown and then talk about Ethan Brown and
Well, we want to
John
bring it back to the
Mackey's-
animals, actually.
Oh yeah, fuck. But I mean, like,
Well, let's take it back to Ethan Brown for now.
I mean, like, it's like they're two different CEOs. They have two different sort of intentions with the products that they're trying to to sell and produce. And so on one hand, you have somebody who's really trying to stop the sale of animals, and it's through food, right? Through this burger. And then here's John Mackey, who is also vegan. Both of these guys vegan, and he's trying to like just make lots of money. Well, actually, both of them are making lots of money in this. Like he's trying to make lots of money on the humane myth, where the other one is trying to justify like testing.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
just to be fair to Ethan Brown, because I feel like we're kind of picking on the Beyond Meat a little bit. I wouldn't even put those two in the same category. There's similar logic that's being applied, but obviously I think that Beyond Meat is a much more wholesome endeavor than the 5-step animal welfare rating scale.
Well, so I mean, like, okay, well, now we're like, putting these two CEOs on like this.
Yeah,
Like, balancing
I don't
scale.
like the idea that we're
You
eating
can also
steak.
bring in the CEO from Impossible.
I don't like the idea that we're
Impossible-
doing
the
that.
Impossible Burger.
I don't remember the number, but it was I believe like 39 rats had to die for the Impossible Burger. But at the same time, to pretend that everything that I consume is so pure that I didn't harm 100 times more significant numbers of animals to eat the various products that I eat, I'd be lying if I tried to say that. So
So what I would like to say is that, like, okay, we're going to put everything on a balance scale, but then we're missing the point that animals deserve rights. That's just like in both of these, both of these individuals, right? The messaging is about like, here are the products that we're putting out, and here's the marketing behind these products, and here's the things that we're doing in order to make you feel good as a consumer. Like, you're feeling good as a consumer when you're eating Beyond Meat, or that's what they want like individuals to feel. And then same thing here, I'm going to Whole Foods, there is a branding around the products that they serve.
Exactly.
And so either way, like, animals are just objectified through all of our systems, and like we need to like switch that like sort of objectification and see them as individuals. So
exactly.
That's the failure of
if people want to get fired up about Beyond Meat, I don't want to really discourage anybody, but at the same time, if you want something to feel good about always speaking up for the animals, feel good about getting involved in an open rescue, feel good about joining the animal rights movement, getting involved in some kind of an organization. Don't feel good about things that you consume. I mean, it's awesome that you're not consuming animal products, but that in itself is just reducing the amount of harm that you're doing. It's not really doing a good thing.
And
that should be like the absolute minimum moral baseline. It shouldn't be something that you I don't pat myself on the back for not killing human beings every day. You know what I mean? I take it for granted that I shouldn't be doing that. My last thought, just really quick, want to kind of go with my standard disclaimer now that I'm trying to be very, very clear that I'm not condemning vegans. When I say vegan fail, I'm not saying that the entire vegan movement is a failure or anything like that, or that especially vegan activists, I'm not trying to say that any of you are failures. I'm just thinking that when you get so caught up in the vegan idea that you really bring it back to like this personal purity movement, if you're doing that in that particular instance, you're failing to see the bigger picture here. And again, that's what we're calling, or at least what I'm defining as the vegan fail. But if anyone that's doing anything to normalize the idea that you can be healthy and eat a full diet without exploiting animals, that's great work that they're doing. And at this stage in the game, even if someone isn't bringing it back to the animals every time, even if you were just standing on your roof and yelling, vegans rock and vegan food is awesome. At this point in the game, I think even that is beneficial. So anybody that's doing anything positive, you're helping. I'm not calling it like a net negative, but any time that you can remember to bring it back to the animals, I think you're going to be doing even better. And that's what I want to encourage people to do. And if practical realities are driving you to have to chew on quantities of meat, I don't really care if you spit it in a cup or not. Like maybe tell me that you fed it to your cat or something. Give me a little bit better of a story than I just spit it in a cup, because the individual died either way.